Hey guys, this is Anita. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be top 10 books I read in 2022. This is one of my favorite videos to film, but I'm late to the party. Almost everyone in BookTube posted this video. Actually, I was sure what my top 10 books are. I decided by the end of December, but I wasn't sure about ranking. Surprisingly, I was sure about my top 1 to top 5, but I struggled with the top 6 to top 10 ranking. I kept moving places. I read some amazing books this year. I gave 5 stars to many books, but the only books I have in this list are the books I think about regularly, books I cannot forget. There are some books I gave 5 stars at the time, but I don't think about them. At the same time, there are some books I gave 4.5 stars at the time, but I cannot stop thinking about them. I have only one rule for this list. I included only one book per author because I read many books from the same series, so it makes sense to include only one book from the author. Let's look at my top 10 before I change my ranking again. At number 10, I have 1000 Names by Django Wexler. This is book 1 in Shadow Campaign series. I enjoyed second and third books in this series, also even fourth book, but I think about the first book more because of battle strategies and Wexler's character work. I loved characters in this series. Winter has become one of my favorite characters. Wexler's execution of strong female character trope is perfect for me. Strong female character doesn't mean acting like a man, it doesn't mean being indifferent to others or not having emotions. You can be vulnerable and be strong and capable. Wexler got it right. Winter commands loyalty from her soldiers by being capable, from keeping them alive. They trust her and they follow her, and her commanders trust her to do difficult tasks. I had a blast reading this series. If you're into military fantasy, I highly recommend this series. And at number 9, I have Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is her sci-fi standalone, but reads more like historical fiction. This book gives us an amazing insight into slavery through modern woman's perspective, and this is also about human endurance, how system affects an innocent child, how power corrupts a person, and how anyone can be trained to accept slavery. I think everyone should read this book. It tells us how far we have come, but reminds us law may have changed, but power structure hasn't changed much. We have a long way to go on that front. I have a separate review for this book in my channel. Please check that if you're interested. I think I have separate reviews for almost every book in this list. I give those links in the description. At number 8, I have Razorblades by S.A. Cosby. This is a surprise read for me. Though it's listed as thriller, it is not focused on who done it. It is a revenge drama. It is about two fathers, one white and one black. One day they found out that their sons were murdered, so they start their own investigation. Their sons were gay and married to each other. These two main characters were homophobic. They didn't have a good relationship with their sons. But now during their investigation, they start learning more about their sons, how happy they were. They start realizing how much they missed being part of their happiness. It's written in Southern dialect. I had to Google many phrases, but I like the author's approach to this sensitive topic. I'll definitely read more by the author. Highly recommend it. And 7th best book in my list is Lattes and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I loved this book. Baldree took simple premise and executed it perfectly. A retired mercenary wants to open a coffee shop. That's it. Premise is simple, and Baldree added found family into the mix, and with the addition of a few mouth-watering menu items, he made it perfect for me. I understand cozy fantasy is not for everyone, but it worked as a palate cleanser for me in between battle-heavy books. I adored this book. I think it is a good recommendation for beginners who are new to reading. At number 6, I have The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. This is the third and final book of Winternight trilogy. This is one of the best final books of a trilogy I have read. The first book of this trilogy was focused on Russian folklore, and the second book was focused on political intrigue around Moscow in 13th-14th century. And this final book combines both those elements and ties up all loose ends perfectly. Vasya is a phenomenal character to follow from the beginning, but this book also gave us character depth to other characters, other family members of Vasya, and it also gives us depth to antagonists. They have their own agency in this book. I really like that. Arden's writing is atmospheric. This is perfect book to read in winter. If you are into retellings or if you want to learn about different folklores, this is perfect series for you. And at 5 I have August by Eden Tchaikovsky. This year I read 6 full-length books by Eden Tchaikovsky. I read almost last 6 books of Shadows of the App series. I could have picked any of the last 2 books from that series. Those were brilliant. But I'm picking this novella not just because of recency bias, but also because of Tchaikovsky's extraordinary storytelling in this novella. This novella started as any other regular feudalism story with a lord and his spoiled bully son, and we have our regular charming yet rebellious hero, but it quickly takes interesting turns. Tchaikovsky explored themes like slavery, rebellion, greed in this small novella, less than 200 pages, and he asks the ultimate question about revolution. The ending is unexpected but perfect. And my number 4, number 3, number 2 are so close to each other. If you ask me next month or after a couple of months, my ranking may change, but today I am going with this. At number 4, I have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is unpopular opinion. Many people choose a book from either Lifeship Traders or Tawny Man trilogy, but I love Farseer trilogy as much as Tawny Man trilogy. It is a difficult pick between this and Assassin's Quest and Matchship and Fool's Errand. Maybe if I had read Fool's Fate in December, I would have picked that. I really enjoyed that. But Assassin's Apprentice always holds a special place in my heart. It's just perfect for me. World building, magic system, pacing, writing, characters, everything is perfect. Actually, the tone in this world reminded me of the stories I read as a kid in my first language. So I was very nostalgic while reading this book. That's one of the reasons I loved this book. And I fell in love with Fizz. It doesn't matter how many stupid decisions Fizz make, I am always going to love him. And at number 3, I have Tehano by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is the 4th book in HC series. Actually, I almost broke my rule of 1 book per author to include Le Guin's other book in this list. That is book 2, Toms of Fate 1. I loved that book. I loved the exploration of freedom and human will in that book. Immediately after finishing that book, I knew that would make my top 10 list because I could not stop thinking about that. Then I read Tehano in December, and it is such a powerful book. I am a character driven reader. Give me good characters, decent plot, just minimal plot, I'm happy. I don't look for themes or any technical stuff. But for the first time, Tehano made me realize the power of themes in a book. They just commanded my attention and my thoughts. Tehano revolves around themes of trauma and power. It talks about how abuse is a form of expressing one's power, and it talks about how difficult it is for creating a safe space for victims, how long it takes for them to trust others, to feel safe, and how easy it is for people to re-victimize them. It is a masterclass in writing trauma. If you are a writer and if you want to write about trauma and recovery, please read this book. It's just brilliant. And at number 2, I have The Company by K.J. Parker. I also loved Folding Knife by K.J. Parker. Basso from Folding Knife is one of my favorite characters, but I choose The Company for this list because I think about these characters more. It is about 5 retired soldiers moving to an island to settle down. There they find something which tests their friendship. None of these characters are good characters if you look at their actions. I am not someone who likes morally grey characters. I talked about this in my review also. I see things black and white, but Parker made me root for these characters. I wanted these characters to win and be happy irrespective of what they did. I think that's the reason I think about them a lot. Parker made me question my own sanity. It's just brilliant exploration of darker side of characters. If you don't mind slow-paced books, give it a chance. You won't regret it. And before seeing my number one book, I just want to say that this is in my number one spot because of how connected I felt while reading this book. At number one, I have Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. I loved this book not just because of Trevor Noah's experiences or his writing. They are good. I loved the way he structured his book based on his experiences. We can clearly see how each experience shaped him, and I loved his narration. But it's not just that. I loved this book because of how much it triggered my own childhood memories. Not the main incidents Noah talked about, his life is wild, but all small things he mentioned, like traveling to different places by these local private buses. We used to do that, and being superstitious about cats. The second he mentioned that, I immediately transported back to my own childhood memory. We used to be superstitious about black cats. So I had this memory, me and my friend talking to our school bus stop, and there was a black cat coming on our way. So we used to take a different route. So many things reminded me of my own memories. I had a beautiful experience reading this book. That's why this is at number one spot. If you had read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in comments, and let me know what are your best books you read in 2022. Please like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye bye.